Hello to everyone at home. Welcome to Up and Close podcast. My name is Mihlali, Sokoko, and I'll be standing in for Lindokuhle Modi. Today we have a special guest, Lindokuhle Modi, who's going to tell us about her disability.
Hello. My name is Lindokuhle Modi, and I'm currently 14 and 15 and living with Tibial, Hemimelia.
So what is Tibial Hemimelia, for those who don't know?
Tibial Hemimelia is a rare case of when your tibia is either you're born without or it's shortened. But it differs in severe cases. Most times, if you were born and it's a mild condition, they'll just operate you once and you'll be done. Or if it's severe, they'll operate you over several years. So I, unfortunately, was born with a severe case of tibial hemimelia.
Okay, so now tell us about growing up with this disability. How was it?
Growing up with it, it wasn't really that easy, especially if you were around your peers. There were some things which you would ask, Mara, why can't I do this, why can't I do that? And like the older people, like your teachers, your grandma, your grandparents, your parents, they put like restrictions on you so you wouldn't be able to do this. And even like when growing up and like coming into a teenage phase where puberty works, there were some things you thought I'd never be pretty enough because of my leg or because of this, because of that. And you give yourself a million reasons. So it wasn't really easy, especially as a child when surrounded by other kids. Other kids would also stay and ask you, why can't you join us? And you would know for a fact, why couldn't you join them? But then like, you couldn't do anything about it. So it wasn't the easiest of things.
Okay. So what can't you do with your rare case of disability?
With currently like the current phase I am with my tibial hemimelia, I can't run. Walking's a bit of a challenge. I can't swim. Can't stand for too long. If I bend down, if I do too long, it's not gonna work. Yeah. And also sitting in certain places or on certain places, but then some gaps will be too small, so I can't fit my brace in. So that's making it like accessibility not that easy.
And you do want to do some of the things like swimming and stuff. So basically, as a disabled person, how is your mental health currently doing?
About me, like how my current health, like my mental health is doing, I've been working on it because I think over all these years it has been affected a bit. Because then that now is not, like one is now paranoid of what people are saying about oneself. And like I had to work on that. It doesn't matter that I only had one life to live, and if I didn't live it, if I didn't live it myself, who's going to live it for me? And one had to then accept what one's facing and like make the best of the situation as possible. Because then like I couldn't just now be sad and sad because I couldn't do this. I just had to do it. So when I had to learn how to grow up mentally, but like it's not that easy. It's still a working process, but I think from like the previous years of my life, I've grown a lot.
Okay, so now take us back straight into your childhood. Growing up, right, you had the tibial hemimelia, right? And how would your peers around you and people around you, whether it's strangers, just people that you've encountered, react when they saw you?
That was very with that, it wasn't really that easy because then like if I went to school or to the mall or whatever, people would just stop. It would just like drop everything and then they would like stare. And not like just like they would like intently stare. And I was more than 100 times I was stopped by people. Most of them were well wishers, but like some of them prying into what happened. And like when you tell them, or if you at that stage I told them, they would then like pry into more as if they were doctors. And like with that made me kind of shaky because then that's when I felt that every time I walk around, I'm not normal because then why does the person have to stop me and not the next person, only to ask me what was going on, meaning I was different from the next person. Especially when I was young, and like as a 5-year-old, if I'm walking to the shop or something, and like a random person will stop me, it's like, why me? Why would you stop me as a 5-year-old? You never actually understood. But you didn't understand that it was your leg's fault of doing it. But I never had the mental capacity to know how to say no to those questions. But like every time a person used to say something either to my parent or to me, I used to feel it like in here that it was because of me that my mom had to be stopped, or that my mom had to ask questions, or we were insulted by my leg because my mom was insulted because of me. And there was a lot of self-blame into it.
Okay. So what are the doctors saying? What have the doctors been saying all these years?
Well, the doctors, because like it's not that it was just the tibia that had the problem. I was also missing a couple of bones. Here and there needed bone grafts. So like the doctor would just handle it piece by piece by piece by piece. Because like they couldn't just fix one thing at one go. It was impossible. So like the doctors kept on like telling me the process of like, okay, we'll fix this now. Now we'll lengthen the leg. Okay, we'll stop lengthening and we'll do this. Okay, we'll lengthen back to lengthening. So it wasn't actually just a one-way thing of this is happening. It was just like many like steps. Because there were different parts of the body that needed.
Okay, so for those at home who don't know what a bone graft is, could you please explain that?
A bone graft is when another part from another part of the body, a bone is taken out in order to compensate if you don't have bone there, in order to compensate for whatever is missing, for whatever bone is missing. Hence that is called a bone graft. So you like size it down, but your bones grow back on the original spot. It's to compensate for the other spot. So they'll just like chuck the bone in there. Okay. I've had a few, like 2 on my hips and like also 1 on my right leg.
Okay. And your frame on your leg, what is it actually called and what does it actually do?
The frame is called a TL Hex Frame. Not many people use it. It is for 2 purposes. Usually when one probably is involved in an accident or one broken a major bone, to protect the bone itself. Or in my case, it is used to lengthen your leg. So they'll cut like wherever it needs and then they'll cut there, take out that piece of bone, put the thing in, and every time there will be like these adjustments that are made, and like every time these adjustments are made, like it pulls, making whatever part that was short longer.
Okay. So in your case, what is it?
So in my case, it is the lengthening of the bone. Because like with tibial hemimelia, it does, like one of the symptoms this year is that either like your leg is disformed and the foot is underside, and like, but the most common to see it is the leg the length discrepancy. The leg discrepancy is the shortening of the leg. So then that also has to be fixed. Hence, this one is for the lengthening of my leg.
Okay, so when the doctors broke down what the disability is, did they tell you all of this information? How did they break down the information to your parents and you?
Well, to my parents, because it was when I was born. So basically what happened is that my mom went into labor. They hadn't seen anything wrong while inside the stomach. They hadn't seen anything wrong. Thus then, my mom was in labor and one of these doctors offered a vacuum to use to take the baby out. So to this vacuum, you have to go to a certain degree and stop. I think once you see the head, then you stop using it. But this particular doctor had gone on. Thus then, even though I had tibial hemimelia and my leg was bound to break, what he did, he grinded the bone while using that vacuum to get me out. He grinded that bone. And then it was never set up by the hospital that the child's leg is fractured or this and this is going on. They did as they would do a normal child, and my mom went home without being told anything. And when my aunt came to come see the baby and things, my mom just explained that she doesn't know, because my aunt is like this, these old African people, so she believes in traditional and stuff like that.
Yes, definitely.
So it's like they were changing my diaper, and she sees that she keeps on saying that this child cries a whole lot of times, like if you touch there, the child cries. And my mom said, had they checked anything in the hospital? I was like, no. And my aunt did this test where she hit under both of my feet. So she started with the right foot, nothing happened, and then she started with the left foot. That's when then I started crying. And then the aunt suggested that we have to go back to the hospital and check. And once we went back to the hospital, that's when it was said that my leg has been fractured, and this is the situation that we're dealing with. So yeah, the hospital tried like to compensate for things, but like most of the doctors, because she wanted second opinions, most of the second opinion said that doctor had to be drunk, because then I only stop this way, and like the hospital should have told you, because it's visible once they tell you that this child's leg is fractured.
Okay. So there was a bit of negligence on the hospital side.
And I never knew till I was 10 what actually happened, because people used to ask what actually happened. And like the only thing that my mom told me is that I fell off a tree. Only then, yeah. Because like she didn't want me to start explaining this entire thing. So when I asked, Mama, what happened? And like, you fell off a tree. And I kept on telling people for like the next 10 years that I fell off a tree.
Oh, 10 years.
Only then did I find out that if I fell off a tree, then why does it look like this? And even my mom didn't want it. She didn't feel comfortable disclosing it, and my dad also didn't want to disclose it. So then it came a day where I went to the checkup and I asked the doctor, my mom says I fell off a tree. What is this? And only then did I know what it actually was that I was dealing with.
Do you feel as if your parents were protecting you from something?
I personally feel like I don't know what they were protecting me from, because I went to school like there were worse things than telling me what it actually was. Because like the tree story, I didn't actually understand like why. Maybe because I was younger, but like still keeping up the act, even though I knew afterwards that I fell off a tree, was very weird, because I'm like, I did probably have a right to know, but to some extent, maybe they were protecting me. So then I wouldn't have to explain such a long story to another person.
What are the worst things that have happened to you as a disabled?
The worst things, except the social exclusion, which happened a lot.
Okay, we'll go back to that later.
But like the worst things that happened is, I don't know, it wasn't impacted directly on me, but the people around me who were part of my circle. I think the part where I actually felt pain is not when I actually got hurt, it was when they got hurt because I was there or because of me. Like if I was walking with a friend and then they comment on my friend for having a friend who had a disability, or if I was walking with my parents and some person would ask, and I could see the pain in my mom's eyes, because my mom would never want this to happen. And even my mom, she sometimes cried and asked, what did I do wrong to make my child like this? Because it's not my fault. And it wasn't, the worst things that ever happened, like also like when my mental health dropped to 0, and then like suicidal thoughts came along. And also and once I got over those, then there was this thing about like, why can't I amputate my leg? So I wouldn't have to go back and forth to the hospital and things like that. So yeah, like a lot has happened, especially since you have siblings or baby siblings, especially my younger siblings, because they expect that their big sister will protect them. But like when I can't do that, because I can't go outside and defend them, because then people will come attacking me on my disability if I try to defend them. Which then, as a big sister, then made me feel utterly useless to defend my younger brothers and sisters.
Okay, so do you identify as a disabled person or a person living with a disability?
I honestly classify myself as a person living with a disability. Because to be honest with you, what is a disabled person? Who came up with the term? Like, who came up that we are disabled? If I can walk, I can talk, I can think, I can live, I can breathe. Since we're all people, how does that make me disabled to the next person? Because then, if I'm disabled, then you're disabled, because we're both people sharing the same blood. So, what is disabled? So it's person living with a disability.
Okay. So, going back to social exclusion, right? How have you been socially excluded in the past? And are you still being socially excluded?
It happened a lot, because like, especially, it happened last year actually, when my class had organized a birthday party for everyone. Like, this girl had organized a birthday party, and like she invited everyone in the class, and like she excluded me. And I was like, hey, hi, I just heard you had a party, hi. And like, everybody went, like, one time I like, and she was like, oh, I didn't think you'd be able to make it with your leg and all. And I was like, how? And like when I was younger, and if I wanted to go play, my friends would just be like, we can't play with the girl with the broken leg, so she won't play nice. And the teacher would also say that, like, you can't play, remember you have a broken leg, you won't play later. And like as a child or as like a person, you do feel that hurt. And like even if I went to social events and I knew I could do this, and the teacher would be like, no, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to go there. And even like we had a beach outing last year too. It was a geography outing, and we'd gone to the beach to go look for some certain shells or whatever. And like I could go, like there was like the rocks there. It was close to St. James. So like the rocks there, and I know like I can draw the line here. But they didn't allow me to go anywhere. Like if I try to sneak, they'll be like there, and they never allow me to go anywhere. And I'm like, how am I supposed to attain marks if I can't do my own assignment? But that was an assignment to go and look for them, and I know how far I can go, and I know that if that thing's over there, I'll tell the geography teacher I couldn't go over there. But like the part like here by the rocks, I wasn't allowed to go to.
How does it make you feel where people decide on what you can do and what you can't do?
It actually makes me feel so angry because then the limits. I know my limits. I know if I try to run, I will break and I will hurt my leg. I know if I try to climb this, I will hurt my leg. But I know if I walk from here to there, nothing's gonna happen. And the way it's people act as if they're the ones living with it. And people then draw the line for you where you know how far you can go. Even the doctor, when he writes on her medical reports to go to school, says she will be able to do as far as she's comfortable. She doesn't say she's not allowed to. She's not allowed. He says there, it was a nice shot to say that she will be able to do whatever she does until she's comfortable with it. As long as she's comfortable, she'll be able to do it. And like, even when you're now telling these people that I hate this, they'll be like, I understand. And that's the one thing that I hate. Like, I get mad at people like, I understand. You're not they were never the one with this thing on. They were never the one whose most of their childhood was taken away from them because they couldn't go far as this limit. But they're the ones who say, I understand. And they're the ones to be the first to draw the line for you. That was actually like, it makes me really painful. I feel pain and also like really angry.
So there's a lot of anger around what people do and decide for you. Now coming back to your mental health right now at this stage, how are you feeling?
At this stage, I feel pretty comfortable with myself because I know right now I'm at the age where I can speak for myself, and I'm feeling like really comfortable right now because I had to decide that I'm not going to let what other people's choices, other people's decisions about me, I'm not going to follow them because I am me at the end of the day. Those people are not here when they don't know what time I go to bed, they don't know what time I eat, they don't know anything about me. But they can't be the ones to draw the line for me. I have to draw the line myself. I have to, because I only live one life, and like if I don't live it, then who's going to live it for me? So at that stage, I had to then draw the line of this is me, and I'm comfortable with myself. And whoever wants to say anything can go throw their opinions off a cliff. I don't care.
So you have that I don't care attitude right now. That's a good thing, but also sometimes a bad thing. But it's always up to you. So, what are the things in the past that you felt as if, oh, I couldn't do this, or maybe, for example, I didn't wear dresses, but now I can do it because my confidence has gone from 0 to hero?
For me, it was mostly about like going to public places and like being comfortable with what I dress and like the way I spoke. Because like I'd never speak if I went to a public place. If I went to a public place, I would like, if there was a shop with like this giant door, I'd stay by that door until my mom was done with the whole public. I never liked going to the malls. I never liked going to parks. Even to church, I was skeptic to go. And like, I was so careful with what I wore. I would never wear something like this short, or like if anything was above my ankle, I was not gonna wear it. I'd be like, it's too short. I would never wear it because then I was worried with the scars and everything that people would notice that something was wrong. And like I never wore crop tops because I had scars and I had a scar on my back, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna like. So I was very, very careful with everything. Like how I ate, how I talked, I was very careful because I'm like, if they can't respect me physically, at least respect me with somebody else. And then I realized that I do want to wear these things and I can wear them, but then why aren't I wearing them? And I realized that what I thought that what I thought about other people's opinions actually didn't matter about me. That I could wear what I want, and I could eat the way I like, and I could speak the way I like, and I could walk because I really like shopping. I could go shop because those people are not living my life. They don't know what's going on with me, and I enjoy doing these things. And if they can enjoy it, why should they spoil the fun for me? So that's what I grew out of, is that I only have like, I can do what I want. I can wear what I want.
Okay. At what point in your life did you realize that I can do what I actually want and stop living according to what people say about me?
It was grade 7 on Valentine's Day.
Which is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
2-year anniversary.
So it was grade 7. It was a Valentine's Day. And that day, like, usually when there was Valentine's Day, I wasn't actually excited. Because, like, other people get asked out and my friends would be like, good for you. Because, like, it never happened to me. So, like, and that time I just wore, because I was planning to wear my long velvet dress. And the dog got it before I did it.
Oh my word.
So I was left with the white one that only reached above my knees. And like I was protesting that I wasn't going to go to school, but it was still school. So my mom put me in a dress and I went to school. And I was like on high alert when I was wearing that dress. And I went and it was like break and they had like this tiny market thing at the school. And I went and then there was this boy, his name was Joshua. There's a lot of Joshuas I know, so they won't know which one is it. The only the one who was there. So there was this boy, Joshua. So he came with me and he then he then asked me out there.
Hectic, Joshua. Hectic. Lovely.
And I was like, I was like, who put you up to this, first of all? Because I'm not playing whatever stupid game you guys are playing. I'm not playing with you. And he was like serious, and I was like,
maybe not.
I know. And he actually said, like, he commented on my dress, and also my other friends came in, like, my dress looks pretty, and I look nice, and I was like, because then you're like doubting, because like nobody said these things, and you're like, they're probably playing some kind of game between the two of them. But then, as the time progressed, I actually found other people like saying, yeah, my dress looks nice. They've never seen me in a short dress. It actually looks really nice on me. And then that's the day I was like, so it's not the entire earth that thinks that I don't look good and stuff. It's not the entire earth that had the mentality of me and putting me in that box. It was just those people. And it was me putting myself in that box because the rest of the population that was not, we never had a problem about what I wore. It was just me. I was fighting a battle with myself. I was the one caging myself. I was the one putting myself in that box and locking myself up in that box. And then blaming the rest of the world on it where I was at fault. So that's when I realized that let me try and wear what I actually like. And that's when I realized that the 4 walls I put around myself had to be broken, because then that day I realized that I am actually pretty and I have no problem with it. And that if I want to wear this, I can wear it. And that's when I realized that I had one life, and like some people didn't care. Whoever cared about what I was wearing and made a comment and would comment about it was their problem.
Okay, so I know there's many of us who still have our guards up, all these boxes, all these cages around us. So can you advise anyone who's at home watching on how could they tackle this battle they're having right now? Just some words of wisdom.
To be honest, it depends what kind of person you are. And it depends if you're a person who is willing to take that step of going and expressing yourself. Because, to be honest, you will say that you're insecure right now, and then 5 years or 10 years down the line when you're an adult, you will wish and have regrets that I wish I did this. Only now do I understand that it did not matter. I wouldn't care if I had done this. And you only have one life, and I believe that you have to live that life with no regrets. And whatever you do now, you have to. Denzel Washington told, I saw a video from Denzel Washington where he said that on one's deathbed, around their deathbed will be themselves of everything that they should have done but they didn't want to do, or regrets of what they wish they had done but didn't do, potentials that they could have reached if they had not hindered themselves. And with that, I learned that you only have one life, and it's your choice how to live. It's not anybody else's choice. Nobody knows anything about you except yourself. And the only biggest enemy that you're fighting is yourself, because you will be the one that's putting yourself in that box. And it's not the entire world that thinks whatever your insecurity, whatever you're thinking. It's not the entire world. It's just your brain putting itself in that box. So you're beautiful. Get out there.
You are. Everyone is beautiful. Everyone is cute. Everyone is handsome, mad, pretty. A wise lady once told me that whatever people say about you is their reflection of who they actually are and what they actually want to be sometimes. So, some people are like, oh, she talks too much. Some people actually wish that they actually had the confidence you had. So, some remarks are really to let you down. So the people who are telling you this want to be there and not control you. Otherwise, thank you so much, Lindokuhle.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoy your Valentine.
I'm in an old girls' school, so how?
But you will. Thank you for sharing words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing your story. And as a person living with a disability, thank you for telling us on how us people who don't necessarily have disabilities act and treat you. Thank you. And to everyone at home, please be mindful of what you say to another person. You might think it's a joke. You might think, oh, she'll get over it. But it actually does something to your mental health, and it does push most of us to our limits, which is suicide. And if you're at that limit of committing suicide, reach out, talk to people. There are organizations that can help you. And I wish everyone gets better, and peace and healing. Thank you for watching. Till next time.